Okay, so have you ever been on one of those websites?
That's just like impossible to navigate.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you're just trying to do one simple thing like book a flight or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
And the website just seems like designed to make you pull your hair out.
Yeah, where's the button? I can't.
Hidden fields, endless drop-down menus, you know the drill.
I know exactly what you mean.
It's like running a marathon through an obstacle course of bad design.
Totally, totally.
But here's the thing. You're not just complaining about bad user experience. You're diving deep into the world of UX research and AI, trying to figure out how to make these digital interactions better.
Absolutely.
We've been going through your articles, and let me tell you, fascinating stuff.
Well, thank you.
And this whole idea of yours, UX research as modern anthropology.
That really caught our eye.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Well, so what is it about this comparison?
That speaks to you.
Well, you see, good UX, it's not just about making a website pretty. It's deeper than that. You have to understand the humans, who's going to be using it, their behavior, motivations, even those unspoken needs,
Okay, yeah.
It's a lot like what anthropologists do, just in a digital space.
Instead of studying an ancient tribe,
Yeah.
you're studying the tribe of people who use the internet.
Exactly.
You talked about UX research being a way to narrate individual stories.
That's it.
You mentioned using ethnographic methods to see how nurses interact with those electronic health records.
Fascinating stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. So what other tools would a UX researcher use?
Well, it's not all just, watching people in their natural habitat, although that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
We collect data, too. Numbers, the stories behind the numbers.
Okay.
A/B testing, user interviews.
Yeah.
We even look at heat maps, see where they're clicking or not clicking.
Oh, interesting.
It's about having a conversation with the data, really trying to get what it's saying.
It's like data whispering.
You could say that.
Because you don't want to just end up with a bunch of numbers.
Right. It's about the people.
And you talked about this feeling like a number in therapy, right?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Where those surveys felt really impersonal.
It felt almost dehumanizing, like they were flattening my experiences into data points.
Yeah, and good UX research does the opposite of that.
100%.
It tries to keep those individual human nuances front and center.
Absolutely.
And this is where the art of UX research comes in.
Because it's so much more than just ticking boxes on a checklist.
Right.
You mentioned an experience in therapy where it felt like the conversation shifted from something genuine to a clinical assessment.
Yeah.
And that really resonated with me because in UX research, it's all about creating that space where users feel heard, understood.
So how do you get at those deeper emotions and motivations?
Yeah.
Because so much of the online world is just so transactional these days.
Yeah.
Click here, buy this, leave a review, Where's the humanity in that?
You hit the nail on the head, and that's where those qualitative research methods become really valuable. Instead of asking someone, did you find what you were looking for on the website? You ask, tell me about a time you had a truly frustrating experience online. What happened? How did that make you feel?
So you're digging a little deeper.
Exactly.
Letting them to open up.
It's about understanding the why behind the what.
Great.
Why did they leave their shopping cart? Click this button over that one. It's about the human experience, really connecting with that.
And this is where that whole shift from just UX, which has always been about digital products and services, to HX, or human experience, becomes really interesting.
Yeah.
It's like, how do we take that user-centric approach and apply it to the entire experience, not just the digital pieces?
Well, because HX recognizes our experiences aren't just limited to screens, right? You wrote about this company, they redesigned their whole onboarding process, made it way more human-centered. And what do you know? Employee retention shot up. That's HX in action, my friend.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
It really is. It's about considering the emotional connections that customers have with a brand, The impact of design on our lives, even the employee experience. It matters.
It's not just about the individual interactions, right? It's about the entire journey.
You're getting it, yeah.
So how do we make sure technology is working for us, not the other way around?
That is the million-dollar question, my friend. And it's more relevant now than ever because, AI.
Which leads us to AI and the future of UX research.
Now, you've expressed excitement about this, but also, and I hope you don't mind me saying, a healthy amount of caution, too.
Well, it's important to be mindful, right?
Exactly. It's powerful stuff.
It is.
So let's dive into that a bit.
Let's do it.
So AI tools like ChatGPT, they're already changing how we write, how we code, heck, even how we make art. So where do you see this technology impacting UX research? Is it a case of robots taking over, or is it more nuanced than that?
It's definitely way more nuanced than that. One of the things you talked about that I thought was spot on was how technology itself is neutral. It's all on how we use it, the intention behind it.
So it's less about AI replacing UX researchers altogether and more about AI kind of giving those researchers superpowers.
Now you're getting it. Imagine analyzing huge amounts of user data in a fraction of the time,
Huh.
or being able to create those super insightful reports with like a few keystrokes. AI could even be used to like simulate how a user interacts with a design.
Okay, that's pretty wild, but it also feels a little, I don't know, unnerving. Are we headed towards a world where algorithms are designing experiences for us?
That's why I think your idea of feedback-driven prompting is so important. It's about us being involved in shaping how these systems learn.
So, like, we're teaching a robot to empathize with users without accidentally turning it into, a therapy chatbot.
Something like that. But seriously, feedback-driven prompting is about this back and forth between the AI and the user. So the system's always learning, always getting better based on how people are actually reacting to it.
Can you give me an example of what that might look like in practice?
Okay, let's say we're using AI to help design a website.
Yeah.
So you'd give the AI some basic info, like who your target audience is, what you want the website to do, that kind of stuff.
Okay, makes sense so far.
Here's where the feedback loop kicks in. Let's say the AI comes back with a design that's just, like, not quite right. Maybe the layout's confusing or you hate the colors. With feedback-driven prompting, you could actually tell the AI what you liked and what you didn't like.
And it would use that feedback to create a new design, one that's closer to what you're looking for.
Exactly. It's like having a conversation with the AI, guiding it towards a solution that really works.
It's like we're taking the power of AI, but we're not giving up our responsibility to steer it in the right direction.
Precisely. And it all comes back to that idea of UX research as modern anthropology, right? It's all about understanding people, what they need, what makes them tick, and then using that understanding to create technology that actually makes life better, not worse.
It's like we've been handed this incredible toolbox full of powerful technology, but now we need to figure out how to use those tools responsibly and ethically.
And that's where the real work begins.
Yeah.
It's not enough to just build cool gadgets and shiny apps. We have to ask ourselves, what kind of world are we creating with this technology? How is it shaping our relationships, our communities, our very sense of selves?
It's like we've been so focused on the what can we build that we haven't spent enough time on the why are we building this and who are we building it for?
And that's where I think feels like UX research and human-centered design have such an important role to play. It's about bringing that human perspective back to the forefront, reminding ourselves that technology should be a tool for empowerment, for connection, for creativity.
It's about designing for human flourishing, not just for efficiency or profit.
Precisely. And that requires a shift in mindset, not just for designers and developers, but for all of us. As consumers, as citizens, as human beings in this increasingly digital world, we have a responsibility to demand better from the technology we use.
To hold ourselves and the companies creating these technologies accountable for the impact they're having on our lives and on the world around us.
And I think that starts with awareness, with educating ourselves about these issues, having these conversations, and asking those tough questions.
It's about recognizing that we're not just passive consumers of technology, but active participants in shaping its development and its future.
And that's what I find so inspiring about your work. You're not just talking about these ideas in the abstract, you're putting them into practice, using your voice and your platform to advocate for a more human-centered approach to technology.
Well, you know me, always happy to geek out about good design and the future of humanity. And speaking of the future, as much as I'd love to chat with you all day, I think it's time for us to start wrapping up this deep dive.
It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. And to you, dear listener, thank you for joining us on this journey. It's been a delight to explore these ideas with you.
We hope this deep dive has sparked some new ideas, challenged some assumptions, and maybe even inspired you to approach technology with a fresh perspective.
Because at the end of the day, the future of technology is not predetermined. It's a story that's still being written. And we believe that you, dear listener, have an important role to play in shaping that story.
So go forth, be curious, be critical, and above all, be human. And as you navigate this ever-evolving digital landscape, remember that the most important connections are the ones we make with each other.
Beautifully said. It's been an honor to be a part of this conversation.
The pleasure was all ours. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to The Deep Dive, We'll catch you next time for another deep dive into the world of ideas and innovations that are shaping our future. So we've talked about the power of UX research, the potential of AI to really shake things up, but it always comes back to that human-centered approach, doesn't it?
It always does.
So as we kind of step into this future, which is exciting and maybe a little bit, I don't know, intimidating at the same time,
Right.
where do we even go from here?
That's the question, isn't it? The million-dollar question. And it's not one I can answer alone, or frankly, even a room full of experts could. This is something we all need to figure out together.
Because it's not like the future of technology is just happening to us, right? We're building this thing.
We are, with every choice we make, every product we buy, every app we download.
So as our listeners are out there living their lives, interacting with all this technology, what's one question we want them to keep in mind?
That's a good question. I'd say, as you're going about your day, ask yourself, how can I, me, use my voice, use my choices to make sure technology is making things better, not worse?
Because we want tech that serves us, helps us, not the other way around.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for diving deep with me on this. It's been fascinating.
The pleasure was all mine, truly.
And to everyone listening, thank you for being here. We'll catch you next time for another deep dive into the world of ideas and innovations that are shaping our future.